Did you know that in the original version of Cinderella, her stepsisters slice off parts of their feet to fit into the glass slipper? This isn't some twisted fanfiction. It's the very real origin of the story that inspired a beloved Disney classic. When we think of Disney, we think of magic kingdoms, singing animals, and happily ever. But behind the shimmering castles and sparkling princess gowns lies a much darker truth. Disney has a secret history, one stitched together from ancient folklore, grim fairy tales, and sometimes even real-world tragedy. Many of the most iconic Disney stories were once cautionary tales soaked in blood, betrayal, and psychological torment. So why don't we talk about it? Why do we only see the smiles and never the shadows? Today, we're pulling back the curtain and taking a long, hard look at Disney's darker side, the sinister origins, hidden horrors, and disturbing truths buried beneath the surface of the stories we grew up with. For generations, Disney has been the gold standard for family-friendly storytelling. Their films are sold to us as pure, uplifting, and safe. But here's the problem. Many of these stories are sanitized versions of far older tales, and what has been erased is often the very thing that gave them depth. The original fairy tales Disney drew from were never meant to soothe children. They were meant to scare them, to warn them, to teach them that life isn't always fair, and evil doesn't always wear a witch's hat. Yet Disney has repackaged these tales into comforting narratives, often stripping away the danger and replacing it with marketable charm. But in doing so, they haven't erased the darkness's entire lives, simply buried it beneath the surface. And it's still there, waiting for anyone brave enough to take a second look. Let's start with Sleeping Beauty. In Disney's version, Aurora pricks her finger and falls into an enchanted sleep, awakened only by a prince's kiss. Sweet, right? Well, in the original tale, by Giambattista Basilio, Aurora isn't kissed. She's assaulted in her sleep by a king who then leaves her unconscious and pregnant. She only awakens when her babies are born, and one sucks the splinter from her finger. That's the story Disney adapted into a fairy tale classic. Now take The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Disney's Quasimodo sings about hope and freedom, but Victor Hugo's original novel ends in absolute tragedy. Esmeralda is hanged, and Quasimodo lies down beside her corpse to die of starvation. Disney added talking gargoyles and musical numbers, but the undertone of cruelty, religious hypocrisy, and fatal obsession is still present just beneath the glossy surface. Even The Lion King has shadows. It's often compared to Hippolyta's story of betrayal, fratricide, and existential dread. And power are everything, and exile, or death, awaits those who question it. But some scholars point out the film's eerie similarities to a real-world political mythos, where legitimacy, bloodlines, but perhaps the most chilling example of all lies in Pinocchio. Disney's wooden puppet dreams of becoming a real boy. It's a heartwarming story about transformation, right? In the original 1883 novel by Carlo Collodi, Pinocchio is hanged. Yes, hanged from a tree by bandits in one of the most jarring children's scenes in literature. Before that, he's abused, enslaved, and nearly burned alive. Even in Disney's version, you can still feel the remnants of the horror. Boys turning into donkeys, Pleasure Island's eerie silence, and the looming threat of never returning home. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. These aren't just happy tales with dark beginnings. They're cautionary myths about greed, deception, punishment, and survival, with Disney's polished hand carefully hiding the scars. So what does this all mean? It means the stories we thought were innocent weren't. It means the magic of Disney often has a shadowy outline, one borrowed from centuries-old folklore, meant to teach hard lessons. The darkness is there, whether Disney intended to preserve it or not. And by looking deeper, we don't ruin the magic, we understand it. We see where it came from. We realize that even the happiest endings were born from the harshest truths. What do you think? Did Disney do the right thing by softening these stories? Or did they hide something important? Let us know in the comments, and if you're curious, check out our next video exploring the real story behind Disney's Haunted Mansion. It's creepier than you think. What if I told you that one of Disney's most beloved attractions, the Haunted Mansion, is rumored to contain real human remains? This isn't a ghost story, it's Disney history, and it's darker than you think. From the moment you step into the Haunted Mansion, whether in Disneyland, Disney World, or Tokyo, the slow creaking of the doom buggy, the ghostly whispers echoing through the halls, it feels too authentic. That is because the Haunted Mansion isn't just an attraction, it's masterpiece of fear, humor, and folklore, carefully engineered to make you feel like you're really being watched by spirits. But behind the special effects and clever illusions lies a much darker truth. Stories of actual deaths, creepy coincidences, and real occult influences haunt the ride's history. And the deeper you go, the more it starts to feel like the mansion isn't entirely imaginary. The Haunted Mansion is iconic for its blend of spooky, fun, and gothic elegance. But how far did Disney go to make it feel real? That's where things start to get strange. First, there is the urban legend told by cast members and thrill-seekers alike that someone's ashes were scattered inside the ride. Not once, but multiple times. Then, there's the question of the man who died building the mansion. A construction worker in the late 1960s reportedly suffered a fatal accident during the installation of early effects. Since then, strange malfunctions and ghost sightings have been tied to his spirit. And perhaps most unsettling, there are persistent rumors that one of the skeletons used in the ride's early versions was real, donated for medical purposes, but never removed. Disney denies these claims, of course. But like all good ghost stories, the lack of proof just makes it scarier. Let's go room by room. The stretching room isn't just a visual illusion, it's a metaphor for psychological descent. Did you know the original concept involved the ceiling slowly descending to simulate a hanging? It was scrapped, but the ghost host's chilling monologue still ends with a hanging corpse. Now, enter the room, where Madame Lita chants in Latin, her disembodied head encased in a crystal ball. Lita was inspired by a real Disney Imagineer letter Tum Zand. The name wasn't just a tribute. Some say strange events occurred during voice recordings, and her image was never supposed to be used. Then there's the bride in the attic known as Constance Hatchaway. She appears sweet at first, until you realize she's grinning beside a series of murdered husbands. The axe appears in her hands after each one. It's subtle, it's creepy, and it was originally deemed too dark for Disney until Imagineers brought her back. Who and the graveyard scene? Look closely. Some tombstones feature names of Disney staff who died. It's meant as an homage, but some visitors claim to see faces in the fog that weren't part of the ride. Let's go room by room. The stretching room isn't just a visual illusion, a metaphor for psychological descent. Did you know the original concept involved the ceiling slowly descending to simulate a hanging? It was scrapped, but the ghost host's chilling monologue still ends with a hanging corpse. Now, enter the room where Madame Lita chants, in Latin, her disembodied head encased in a crystal ball. Lita was inspired by a real Disney Imagineer letter. Tum Zandane wasn't just a tribute. Some say strange events occurred during voice recordings, and her image was never supposed to be used. Then there's the bride in the attic known as Constance Hatchaway. She appears sweet at first, until you realize she's grinning beside a series of murdered husbands. The axe appears in her hands after each one. It's subtle, it's creepy, and it was originally deemed too dark for Disney until Imagineers brought her back. Oh, and the graveyard scene. Look closely. Some tombstones feature names of Disney staff who died. It's meant as an homage, but some visitors claim to see faces in the fog that weren't part of the ride. But the most chilling tale? It happened in the early 2000s, when a family reportedly requested to scatter the ashes of a deceased loved one inside the Haunted Mansion. Disney said no, but shortly after, ride operators noticed suspicious powder in the room. Cleanup crews arrived and the ride was briefly shut down. Disney never confirmed what it was, but insiders claim it wasn't the first time and it wouldn't be the last. Since then, reports of cold spots, flickering lights, and unexplained glitches in the doom buggies have spiked, especially in the exact same room. Coincidence? Maybe. But ask any Disney cast member off the record and they'll tell you, there's something inside the Haunted Mansion that doesn't belong to this world. Disney's Haunted Mansion is more than a ride. It's a mirror of our own fascination with death, legacy, and what waits beyond the grave. From secret symbols to ghostly rumors, the mansion is built on a foundation of darkness cleverly disguised with humor and theatrics. But the next time you hear a whisper or feel something brush past you in the dark, just remember, not all 999 happy haunts are illusions. Some may have been invited in. Narrator, ever felt something strange inside the Haunted Mansion? Let us know in the comments. And if you're curious about more hidden truths, don't miss our video on the disturbing origins behind Disney's, because once you open the door, the ghosts never really let you go.